Live. Looks like we are live. Welcome again, friends, one and all, to another watch party. And with me today, I have Alex. Alex, go ahead and introduce
Hey.
yourself and tell everybody why you chose this movie today.
Okay. Well, good evening and good morning, gang. I know we got people around the world. Definitely, if you're in the UK, it's got to be after dinner and before bedtime. Um, so I've been a lifelong movie fan. I thank and blame my parents for having a VCR in the house when I was a kid. So back when movies used to air on TV, they got taped, and before they put copy protection on tapes, you would dub the tape that you rented. But we don't admit to that, do we?
Yeah, we don't
Um,
talk about that.
well, that's how people expanded their libraries back in the day. Why did I pick Primal Fear? Honestly, I've kind of loved this movie since 1996. I didn't see it in the theater because it would have been R, and I wouldn't have been able to sneak into that at the time. But rental store didn't care. Uh, so watched it probably early '97, whenever that would have come out on video. Thinking home video was about a year out usually back then. Um, and this is the movie that made Edward Norton Edward Norton. He is one of the few. He got an Oscar nomination for this, as far as I remember. Not many people get an Oscar nomination first movie out, but he did. And for those that this is new to, hopefully you'll understand why.
Absolutely. And if you guys are not familiar with this movie, it is a really good thriller, drama, mystery.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, let's hop into this. We'll start about 10 seconds in, and why don't you count us down, Alex?
All right, going in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. And let me just make sure my volume's down. Pardon me. Yeah, you don't need
Yep,
to
so we got
tune.
to just
There we go.
start everything. Okay. So,
Volume
yes,
down.
this was one of Edward Norton's very first roles. I think he had been around in the business a little bit,
Yeah,
but he just shot to superstardom in this movie.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Yeah, it's
so
the
why don't I go ahead and shout out everybody that's in the chat? We've got let's see. We've got Eric Calbot, James Hellier, old Johnny Devick, Mad Matt in the YouTube chat. If I'm missing anybody. All right, let's go over to Discord. Calbot. Hey, Calbot's in both places. Mad Matt's in both places as well. All right,
Eric's in both
Brainwire.
places.
Hey, Brainwire. That's
Yeah,
pretty talented if you're texting in both places.
yeah. I end up doing that every once in a while. Just depends on where the conversation takes off.
Yep, yep. So I just am monitoring both locations.
Mm-hmm.
So we are introduced in the movie to, oh boy, this is an all-star cast, I must
Yeah,
say.
we got Richard Gere, leading
Maura
man that he
Tierney,
is. He's been a leading man since Officer and a Gentleman.
the 70s, I think, 80s.
Easily the '80s, because that was Officer and a Gentleman when his hair was still black. Um, there we see our first glimpse of Edward Norton. You saw Maura Tierney a few minutes ago of ER
Laura
fame.
Linney. Yep.
Laura Linney. She went on to do another great movie with Richard Gere 6 years later called Mothman Prophecies, which would be a good one for Halloween time.
That's a good
Um,
one.
hard to get
Oh boy.
hard to get our hands on though, because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not in print. So good luck.
A lot of these movies are out of print,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But
Hmm.
if we're lucky enough that they're still streaming,
Yeah.
it's still a good bet to
Hmm.
choose.
Yeah. I think
Terry O'Quinn
Mothman.
in a
Very
small role
small,
here.
very small role.
Yep.
And the late Andre Brower is in this as well, and John Mahoney, aka Fraser's dad,
Martin Crane.
Martin Crane. Yep.
Yep.
And who's the judge?
Alfre Woodard.
Alfre Woodard. Yeah.
Yep. And so we're just kind of setting the stage for the characters,
Yep.
basically introducing us to the characters.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do want to mention, I keep forgetting to do a shout out. I want to shout out to Anzi and and Eric over on the Discord server. They are the ones that started up the Discord server that we're using, and they're maintaining it. I just want to give them a big shout out for all that the help that they're doing with this. And I really appreciate it. And I love it that they're keeping it going. So we do have a Discord server to go to.
Yeah.
So let's just keep it going and see if we can make it grow.
Mm-hmm.
Tell all your friends.
James Hellier, you'll have to point out Joe Spano to me. He's probably one of that guys when you see him. Hill Street Blues. I haven't watched Hill Street Blues in a while, so
Oh boy, that's an
it'll
old.
be a little bit to find him. But Joe Spano's not the Archbishop in this, is he? Well, we'll find out in a minute. There's Terry O'Quinn, while he still had hair before Lost.
Old Johnny Devick made a comment about Will Wheaton.
Yes, he
Was he?
auditioned for this, and he kind of wanted it. And so did Matt Damon. And actually, Will Wheaton, if I was reading the trivia on IMDb, right, Will Wheaton bowed out, and Leonardo DiCaprio bowed out.
Well, they've all gone on to greatness.
Yep, they most certainly have.
So most of this movie was shot, well, I wouldn't say most, but there are a lot of the parts of this movie that were shot in Chicago, but there were also shot, I think, in LA.
Mm-hmm. Probably the courtroom stuff.
Yes. Anyone familiar with the Chicago area will recognize the exterior.
Mm-hmm. Somehow that seems like a very Chicago name, Shaughnessy. You can tell those two had a relationship. Or Richard Gere is very personal with people.
I mean, he was really the go-to guy.
He was.
He was box office gold.
Pretty much from Pretty Woman on.
Pretty Woman on.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think Laura Linney had been around a little while before this, and she went on to bigger and better things. And she's also one of those actors that you see. I know her from
something
elsewhere.
Yeah.
She's been in a lot of things.
Yeah. She was great in John Adams. That many from early 2000s, like early 2010s, I think. The one with Paul Giamatti. That was a good one.
Oh, James Hellier says director Gregory Hoblet honed his writing and directing on Hill Street Blues, L.A. Law, and NYPD Blue. He went on to do a series of great thrillers for cinema. This, Fallen, Fracture. Oh.
Those are another two that should be on a watch list at some point, James. The Fallen with Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
And Fracture was Hopkins and who's his face? Ken from Barbie, whose name escapes me right now.
I'm drawing a blank. I know the name of the movie. I don't know if I've seen that. All right, let's.
Gosling, yes, Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Gosling. I want to think of Baby Ducks.
Yeah. You say Gosling. Oh yeah, Eva Mendes' husband.
And this is Well, Terry O'Quinn is a bit older than he was when he did The Stepfather. The
Yeah,
Stepfather was 80s. This is 90s. And
yeah,
then, of course, he went on to the TV show Lost. Anyone who's a
yeah,
fan of that?
yeah. One of those working actors, just been
Yep.
in the business, doing TV here and there. He was on Jag for a couple episodes, featured episodes. And then, yeah, once he got lost, he just went boom.
Yep. Okay, so now we're introduced to
The Archbishop.
the Archbishop.
And there's some really interesting editing in this scene.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
right there, that's why it's rated R.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd be doing a lot of screaming too if I had my fingers cut off.
Yeah, yeah, so would I.
Oof.
Happily, they're still here. And the music in this is really good. It just sort of fits. It's atmospheric, but it's not in your face. And that's a downtrodden part of Chicago, it looks like. Or at
With the
least,
Chicago has the elevated trains.
yeah.
Now, does anybody like live around Chicago? Anybody familiar with this area in Chicago? Or has anyone been to Chicago? James Hellier asks, this is a novel adaptation, isn't it? That is a good
Yes.
question.
Yes, it came off of a book. Which book I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But it is off of a novel. I'd have to. I didn't skim the features on my disc before I started this, but they do mention which book it was.
Interesting.
I didn't see it on IMDb, so you might have to zip to Wikipedia to find that out.
Let's see.
But I know the author's done other stuff, so
Or I bet while I'm typing and doing some searching,
the chat usually is on
someone,
the ball.
yes, you guys are on the ball. Okay, it looks like it's an adaptation of William Dale's 1993 novel, Primal Fear.
Interesting.
So, okay.
Calbot, I could also go for some prime rib. Thank you very much.
So this kind of introduces us to his
The way he
clientele
lawyers. Yeah,
as a
his
lawyer.
clientele and how he lawyers. Yeah.
Hmm.
He left the DA's office. He's a defense attorney. And
Well, you know what they say, everybody deserves to have legal counsel.
this is true.
So no matter what you did, no matter who you are, you deserve to have legal counsel
Mm-hmm.
and someone's got to represent you.
Yeah. And you hope they're good and not overworked.
Yeah, exactly.
You go to their office and their stack of files is above their head. Maybe not a good thing.
So this actor playing his client,
Yes.
he is also one of those guys.
Yes.
And he has Scarface. I saw him in Scarface. James Hellier says he doesn't deserve legal counsel. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know what? There are a lot of sleazebag lawyers out there.
Yeah.
Um,
Not everyone was in the top two of their class.
Nope. And sometimes the legal system does allow criminals like this guy
Mm-hmm.
to
Keep
carry on.
operating. Yeah.
Carry on. Yep. Oh, Eric says had to look him up, but his name is Stephen Bauer. Yeah, I think he had actually changed his. Did he change his name to Stephen Bauer for some reason, or he changed it from Stephen Bauer to something?
Well, let's find him on. There he is. What else have I seen him in? Oh, yeah, he was in Traffic. Oh, right. And a bunch of TV stuff recently.
And here we are introduced to the crime scene.
Rather brutal.
Rather brutal. It looks like an up close and personal crime.
Yeah. And here we've got Edward Norton on the run. As people are investigating without putting gloves on, how intelligent. He was supposed to be an inspector
Yeah.
of the Chicago PD. At least these guys are putting
hmm
gloves on.
as a previous member of law enforcement, I can go on and on
Mm-hmm.
about the accuracy or inaccuracy of what they do in the movies. But you know what? It's a lot of fun watching.
Yeah.
And and yes, they have police officers walking all through the crime scene, contaminating it.
No booties
Yes.
on their shoes, no nothing.
No, no, everyone just running in.
Well, you can say a lot for CSI back in the day being flashy this and flashy that, but it got a lot of people into forensic science.
Yeah.
And a lot of people changing their major from forensic science once they realized it wasn't like what was on TV.
Yep. But as every profession has um, learned and progressed, so has law
Mm-hmm.
enforcement,
Yeah.
to where it is down to a science a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
times. So Marty loves the limelight. Our attorney friend Marty here loves being the center of attention, loves
That's why.
being in the limelight as a bigwig attorney.
Yeah. I guess it's a cover story for some city magazine or something.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the featured article.
Yeah.
So there in the 90s, we had a string of these psychological crime dramas.
Mm-hmm.
What comes to mind is The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
That was, I think, early 90s. That was
Yeah.
fabulous. That
Yes, it
was
was.
fabulous.
Remake of the TV show, which they remade in
Yep.
2000.
Yep. I do have that on my list for anyone
Mm-hmm.
curious. I hope we get to do it this year. Still dwindling down the list. Yes, James Hellier, The Fugitive is another Chicago movie. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Shooting Chicago for Chicago because there's parts you
Yep.
can't make. Yeah, U.S. Marshal was pretty good, old Johnny Devick, as a sequel.
Oh, that was the sequel to The Fugitive. That's
Yeah.
right. And it had,
Wesley Snipes.
yes, Wesley Snipes. Oh, Plutonium Shore just popping in to say hello and show some love. Can't stick around though. Well, welcome for as long as you can be here. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, come back next week. Okay, so Mara, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Tierney.
Yeah.
Um, she is in everything. She was in ER. Right
Yeah.
now, I think she's in Law and Order. Yeah, not SVU, Law and Order. Hmm.
The Chris Maloney one, the new spin-off, the organized crime thing.
Not the. She's in the original one. The original. We have the original Law and Order. We have SVU. Then we have Organized Crime. She just came on board the
Interesting.
Law and Order,
Oh yeah, they
and I
brought Law and
think,
Order back again after retiring it after 20 years and bringing it back again. Okay.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, you might
Well,
as
I
well.
love those cop shows.
You might as well. And she was in, what was she in? She was in Twisters this year as the
She's
mom.
been in.
Oh, she's been
I
in
think.
like News Radio back in the day.
Yep, that's when I first got a glimpse of her talent. Was in talk. No, news radio. That was with Phil Hartman
Yes. Yeah.
and Joe Rogan.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, that was an all-star cast. Oh.
Hmm.
And I bet if we had a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon game, I bet every single actor in any movie that we can name in
Hmm.
6 degrees, we can go to Kevin Bacon.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
No
when
joke.
I've no, yeah. Well, I've a bunch of old work friends and I. We spent a rather slow day once, 6 degrees of Kevin Baconing. And after about an hour, it got too easy. So we said, okay, we'll just make it random actor to random actor and try to go how as few as you can. So I said, okay, Edward G. Robertson to Ed Norton. Someone went, who to who? I went, oh God.
Oh boy, Edward G. Robinson, that's going back to the glory days of Hollywood.
Yeah. But to get him to Ed Norton, I forget how I did it, but I think I had to use Charlton Heston.
Uh, that's some brain power right there.
Yeah.
If I had to sit down and think about without using Google, without using any search engine,
Yeah.
um, I don't know how far I'd get.
Yeah. No, I just, they were the names that popped into my head at the time. And I still remember the
Yeah.
guy just giving me a dirty look going, can't do that in 6 moves.
Well, that would you would be considered a movie file. Is that what they would call it? A movie file? Someone who just digs media, movies,
Yeah.
and dives into it.
Hmm.
Okay, so I think at this point Marty has just gone into the jail and made him and presented himself as
His
Aaron's
attorney.
lawyer
Yeah.
without being called. He's just, that good.
Well, I think he didn't he have a line when he was leaving the interview. Like he got on the phone and he said, call Judge so and so's office to get me in. So
He's got ins.
he was gaming the system a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's like,
Oh,
this,
Eric says, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm just thinking he knew this would be a high profile case and he wanted to be the face on it, right? So,
Yep. That's what lawyers do.
hmm.
So yeah, Eric made a comment that Norton is so young here.
Hmm.
He has got such a baby face,
Hmm.
but that's part of who his character is.
Yeah.
And you're getting a sense that he is a young, naive, quote unquote, victim,
Hmm.
suspect.
Hmm. And just how he's got the clothes fitting on him,
Yeah.
which were probably issued by the jail, like they're already torn up because I'm reasonably certain that the police would have confiscated his clothing upon arresting him as it was already covered in blood.
Yep. They confiscate the clothes and just give him uh,
Whatever's there.
jail attire. Yeah.
Hmm.
So this movie came out in 96.
96. Yeah.
Let's see. The Fugitive movie came out in 93.
U.S. Marshals was 97,
7.
I think.
Thriller 98.
98. Okay.
Yep.
Oh god, summer of '98. That was a good summer. That was a good movie summer.
Um, yeah, I was. Yeah, I had a newborn, sort of a newborn at that time. I don't remember going to the movie in '98.
Well, if you've got a newborn, you're not going to remember much for about
I don't remember much.
14, 15 months.
Yeah, my first was born in '97.
Yeah. Oh,
So
so you have a
98.
toddler and a newborn? Yeah, your brain's
Yeah,
fine.
and then I had another newborn in '99. But
Well, your kids,
but
oh, that was nice. You
video
got
rentals
to grow
was
up
still
together.
a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Video didn't really die until about 2010.
Yeah. But that's right around the time that I stopped being able to watch a 2-hour movie in one sitting.
Yeah. Well, you had what, three kids under four?
I had 2 kids.
Two kids,
And
sorry.
then yeah, and then I had my third kid when my other 2 were teenagers. A long
Oh,
gap. Okay. Well, it looks like most of the chat is still in YouTube. So I don't have to joggle between them too much.
no,
All right. Oh, Eric says I really miss the good old days going out for a movie rental.
so do I.
That was like a ritual.
It was. Even
Yep.
though like new movies were Tuesday, but everyone went on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But if you got to know the staff and they get to know you, then they'll let you know early that, oh yeah, you're going to like this. Get it on Wednesday. Don't get it on Friday because it'll be gone on Friday.
Or they'll put it aside for you. I remember going to Blockbuster and you have to
Hmm.
reserve it.
Yeah.
And you get there on Friday or Saturday and it's there.
Hmm.
Oh, there's nothing like that feeling.
It's behind the counter on with your name and a
Oh,
post-it.
yes. Yes.
Yeah. And then of course the slightly older movies, you have to always peruse the forget the 1 night or 2 night rentals. You go to the 1 week rentals and just say what am I going to watch this week, and then you get 4 or 5 movies.
Well, that's what we usually did because all the Blockbuster ones were taken. And if you didn't reserve it,
Hmm.
you were out of luck.
Yeah.
But that's part of being a movie lover, and it didn't matter what genre, we always were able to find something good.
There's always something.
Always something. Oh, there's Andre Bauer. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
I think there's an R in there. Brower, I think.
Brower.
Yeah. So I never quite understood his position or former position. Is he just is he Marty's PI or is he a former
I
cop?
think
What?
he's a PI investigator.
Okay, yeah, because I'm looking at the holster with the
Mhm.
revolver on his
Yeah, he
on
used
his
to be a
ribcage.
cop. He's an ex-cop who's now like an investigator.
Yeah,
And she would be, I guess, what back then would be the legal secretary, but now would be more like a paralegal.
yeah, the paralegal or the clerk. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, James Hellier says he's Vale's investigator. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, she's either the legal secretary or the paralegal or the law clerk, one of the three. But
Yeah.
they are rather different jobs and what they're able to do. A clerk can do all your research, but they're not in the bar, and there's legal stuff they can't do.
hmm And a
And
paralegal can do they can do just about anything up to giving legal advice.
yeah, like paralegal can do a bunch. I'd have
hmm
to. because I went through schooling as a law clerk up here in Canada in my
Did
province,
you?
and yeah, which was fun. It's just good luck finding work in the field because it's a position. Once someone's in with a lawyer, they're there until the lawyer retires, or they're there until they retire,
Yep,
and it's hard to get in the door. It's all interesting stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it's just hard to get in the door.
it is. And I went to school to be a paralegal and was able to do it for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I almost became a lawyer.
What type of law was your favorite, if you don't mind my asking?
Um, Criminal law, I wanted to be a prosecutor.
Ah, nice.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
either that or become a police officer, but this was back in my younger days,
Mm.
way back in my younger days.
Yeah, the criminal law courses were some of my favorite. They were the some of the easier to do the research on. You just here's
You
the
pick up the
criminal
code.
code. Here's the
Mhm.
book of the criminal code. You have an index.
Yep.
You got chapter tags. It's like we're talking
Yep.
about this table of contents.
Yeah.
What part do I
Once you
not?
learn the law,
What part do
then
I
you
not need to
learn.
look at?
It's easy to go from there once you've learned the statutes.
Oh yeah, it's like you're walking down the street. A police cruiser pulls up next to you and starts. The guy in the car starts talking to you. Okay, well, what's he asking me about? Was I doing
Yeah.
anything? You know,
Yeah. I mean, what you do is you just ask a lot of questions.
yeah, same questions you would think of that, if you're sitting in a jail cell and you have to call a lawyer, what questions would you want the guy asking you?
Exactly. Oh, so okay, so she's the assistant DA
Yeah.
and she's gonna take the case. And
Hmm.
so we get the sense that they were involved at one point,
When he worked at the DA's office.
and this is a typical cat and mouse prosecution defense. This is how they operate behind the scenes.
Hmm.
She's trying to go, obviously, to the full extent of the law. He's protecting his client,
Hmm.
and they both see Aaron as who he is, if that makes sense. He's accused of the crime. Um, and yeah, as the movie goes, we will dig deeper into this crime.
Hmm. But as with all movies and TVs shows that are going to be representing or portraying legal stuff, they aren't going into the 17 to 100 different component parts before anything gets to trial
Right.
because it's condensed into 2 hours.
And in reality, this would probably take a year and a half,
To
year to
get,
year and a half to go to trial.
Mhm. Now, the defense attorney would not just be wandering in there. He would have access to the scene, but he wouldn't be wandering in there with his briefcase in his hand and no gloves on.
This is the movies.
Yeah.
And they just allow him to walk in.
And who's this other guy in there? Is that just, a detective, or like this would be turned over to the crime scene guys long before this?
Yeah, this crime scene would be locked down, but again, we're back in the 90s.
Hmm.
This is a movie,
Yeah.
and we could go on and on.
Oh, can I just say the color on that back wall? Oh God, that's like the color you find in a drunk tank just to make you nuts.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much is the color of every cell.
That salmon pinkish red. And you're right. That is the color in all the cells.
Yep. Oh yeah, James Hellier comments it wouldn't go to trial. They would bully the altar boy into accepting a plea deal, and his free attorney would go along with it. Remember my cousin Vinny? Yeah, and if
Yeah.
Marty had bulldozed his way into representing him, he would have a court-appointed lawyer, and this would settle long before then.
Yep,
But this makes for a very good movie.
it
Did
does.
he do it? Did he not do it? I mean, how could this sweet little kid?
Yeah, just the way like I am innocent.
I
Yeah,
am
look, yeah,
innocent.
that look right there. That hitting the
Oh,
freshly hitting the face look. That's what you
yep.
need.
That's going to sell the jury.
Hmm.
Has anybody in the chat ever served on a jury? Had to go through jury duty?
Oh,
And what was your experience?
I happily got out of jury. I got out of having to be going in for jury duty. I was back in school for something else at the time. Uh, but yeah, has anyone had the fun or mind numbingness of sitting in the courthouse for the day?
Yeah, there's always, everybody's got their own opinion as to whether they would enjoy it or not. I've always wanted to, but the times that I've been called, they get my background and I'm dismissed. I'm
Yeah.
dismissed.
Well, that's just smart lawyers.
Yeah, it is.
We don't want anyone with a legal background having anything to do with this case.
Exactly.
We're going to dismiss you with cause.
But I would be totally impartial. Give me the facts. Oh, Eric says no jury duty here in the Netherlands.
That's interesting.
It is. It is. So that I'm sure the Netherlands has a completely different, because every country has their own legal process.
Yeah. Hmm.
And you could take this case and put it in another country and it would be totally different.
Yeah. Now the judge does something here that has always just ticked me off.
Where right now, when she poured herself a glass of water?
No, no. After Marty talks for a second, right here. I want to make a complete psychiatric evaluation, and the judge doesn't listen.
Well, because this is the initial appearance. All you're doing is making sure you understand the charges against you.
Hmm.
So yeah, you answer that and then you can move on.
Yeah, like the taking the fifth, at least
Yeah.
in the states, taking the fifth on the charges. It's like he's taking the fifth on whether he understands the charges or not.
Oh,
Until you're gonna let me do a psych evaluation. Yeah,
yeah, that's not the time or place for this.
yeah.
Oh, Mad Matt says I was on a selection panel, never even made it to the question portion. Other times served only on standby call in.
Ah, you were waitlisted for the jury.
Mm-hmm. They do that more often than not. They'll call you and make you wait, and then things are canceled. The justice system, if everybody went to trial, would bog down and nothing would get accomplished.
Oh yeah. Well, that's interesting, James. I obviously figured France would be under the Napoleonic Code still. I wouldn't have thought. Well, I guess that makes sense if the other European countries would just be the judge and not having necessarily a jury system. So that's interesting.
It is interesting to see how other parts of the world have for their legal process.
Hmm.
Doesn't he just look so cute and innocent in that cell?
Yeah.
How could he possibly have done that?
Don't telegraph the movie. But just
But
thinking
this
of
this
the other
is how
people.
he's presented. I mean,
Yeah,
he
this is the only,
this is what we see of him right now.
yeah, the only thing you're seeing. I'm just thinking of if Will Wheaton had done this, if Leonardo DiCaprio had done this, if Matt Damon had done this, it would be an entirely different character.
Yeah. If Will Wheaton had been put in this phase in his career where he was mostly known at this point for Star Trek Next Generation,
It
would
did by
we
me, yeah.
would we buy him as this sympathetic character? Because if
Probably, even though Star Trek was pretty much everywhere, but he'd been
yeah,
off it long enough, I think, that it could have worked.
it might have. Will Wheaton does have a lot of talent,
Hmm.
but coming off of the Next Generation, in a lot of sense, he was unfairly.
Maligned.
Yeah, he was maligned
Mhm.
unfairly for that, and I know he went on and overcame it. But at that time, he probably, I don't know, would audiences have allowed him to carry this character? It's an interesting question.
I don't know.
And all this comes down to casting choices.
Yeah.
So for some reason, Edward Norton had what they were looking for and cast him in it.
Hmm.
Frances McDormand.
Yeah. And this is right around Fargo, right? So
I think Fargo was a couple
Fargo
years after.
was, I think it was after, I think it must have been after this.
Oh, right around the same time. Fargo came out in 96.
It did. Okay. So
Okay.
this and Fargo, then she won the Oscar for Fargo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So these both came up the same year then. Okay.
Yeah. Did she win for Fargo or did she win? She won a couple years ago for
Yeah.
her Nomad character.
Yeah. But she definitely won for Fargo. I think she has.
Did she?
Yeah. That was her
Ooh, that
first.
takes
That,
me back.
that was her first one. I know, and I can't remember if she has three or two. But yeah.
Yep, she won. Okay, she won for Fargo. She
Yeah.
also won for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri,
Oh,
and for
yeah.
Nomadland.
Yeah. Three Billboards was a good movie. She
That was an
won,
interesting one.
and Sam Rockwell won for that too. I feel like I should be quiet during this particular scene.
Oh, and yeah, the investigator, not the investigator, but the psychologist.
Psychologist, yeah.
Boy, the American judicial system has come a long way in how it deals with
Mental health.
this, people that are accused of a crime that have psychoses, that have all, many different mental illnesses, or
Hmm.
they have schizophrenia. And I think as the system is adapting to those,
Hmm.
all we could do is just hope that you're balancing the rights of the person that is accused of committing the crime, and with justice, it's a balancing act.
Hmm.
Oh, James Hellier says the stammer is something Norton added to the role. It's not in the script.
Well, it works.
It does. It really does.
I didn't know you managed an arcade, Mad Matt. That's fun.
Yeah, yeah. Your comment there about being sued. You had to go to court and testify. The decision was delayed for over a year, and eventually they just gave up due to the length of time it was taking.
Well, at some point they might as well because you're not allowed to drag out proceedings forever.
Yeah,
Any judge with a brain's going to start. Don't do
yeah.
that.
Basically making the both sides work it out.
Yeah, judge is going to throw you to arbitration. Judge is going to
Hmm.
do a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay, prosecution is throwing down the gauntlet. We're not
Hmm.
going to deal. We're going to trial. That's it.
Hmm. And he's right, saying all it takes is one.
It is. Yep. Or all you have to do is make sure that they can't come to a conclusion, and you'll have a
A
hung
hung
jury, declare a mistrial. So really, for this case, she's taking the gamble.
and you hope the case is dismissed with prejudice so they can't go after him again.
Yep. Oof. I'm gonna need to turn the heat on. Who is in the middle of this Arctic freeze coming through? Am I the only one?
Hopefully, it hasn't gone my way yet, but
It's heading your way.
it's heading east. Oh no.
Yep. Yeah, we're lucky. We only had, I think, minus 16 last night, and we're up to about zero right now. But yeah, it's brutal.
Do you at least have snow on the ground so it
I
feels
have a
like more
little
than
bit of
it
snow on
is?
the ground. Yeah.
Well, a dusting doesn't count. Like a foot.
No, nothing like last year. The couple years prior, we had the blizzards and everything coming through.
Mm-hmm.
That was brutal. Yeah. Oh, and speaking of weather, um, it is basically because of this weather that I have where I live that I might as well announce it now. I am going to be moving, not until the end of March, but I am in the process of actively moving to warmer climate. My move has been in the making for about a year now. Um, this shouldn't interfere with the watch parties. Um, I'm moving across the country, though. Um, so we'll make sure these don't go uninterrupted. So, but they might look different. I think right around the time that I have to move.
Well, life
But yeah,
happens. We get it.
I can't. Yeah, I can't do this weather out here by myself. Forget it. That's nuts. Oh yeah, James says Sharon is moving somewhere warmer like Alaska. That's how I feel right now. Alaska would probably be a little bit warmer.
You at least have some ocean breezes.
I will be where they don't ever get snow again, and don't live on a muddy road and all that stuff. But yes, so
You're
that
moving
move
to
is
El Paso.
coming. I'm sorry.
You're moving to El Paso. They don't get much snow there.
Uh, you know what? I'm from Arizona, Phoenix,
Ah,
Tucson
oh,
area, and
oh, yeah.
I'm not moving back there, but I am moving to a warmer climate.
No,
So
yeah. My cousin lived in Arizona, and it's like everyone has grass, but they all water it because that's the only way it's getting any water.
exactly. And some parts of Arizona, they don't allow you to plant grass, and they want you to plant rocks and the local fauna.
Well, that makes more
So
sense.
Yeah. So anyway, so anyone out there that's battling the cold, I feel for you. Um, and um, even when I took over these watch parties, I was in the process of moving, but like I said, it shouldn't interfere with them. And if we can get this thing going where someone can take over for me if I have to miss a week or two. So that's kind of far down the road, but yeah, okay, I'll keep you updated. Oh yeah, James says so somewhere between Arizona and Alaska because Matt indicated it does snow in Arizona in the higher elevations. Um, yeah, which is nice. I wish I had lived in that part of Arizona, but yeah, forget the 110 degrees heat, 120, and the 15 below that I have here.
And here we're learning about some of the city greed.
And we're learning about the connection to the church,
Yeah.
specifically the higher ups in the church.
Hmm.
And so what this does is it makes the murder of the bishop, archbishop, the murder of the archbishop that much more intriguing.
Yeah. Bunch of rich developers, including who?
Huh? John Shaughnessy.
The district attorney. That's
Ah,
a conflict of
very
interest
interesting.
right there.
So we have sort of makes these thugs look like the good guys.
Yeah.
So now we have a little plot twist.
Hmm.
But isn't that it makes the movie more interesting when you make the thugs criminals
Hmm.
out to be the good guy, makes them three-dimensional.
Yeah. Well, the Corleones were nice guys too. They just,
They were
according
just
to
businessmen,
they
really.
were just looking out for the neighborhood.
And they were entrepreneurs.
Yes, Michael was an entrepreneur. We'll call him that.
Yep. Well, isn't that what they said about the big growth in Miami? It was the really big drug cartels that built Miami with the drug money to make it so that they make it appear that they're just businessmen. They want to improve the area, and so they built buildings, they built the businesses,
Yeah.
and that's all they did.
A couple
Hmm.
of nice hotels to launder money,
Right.
or allegedly.
Yep. Yes, exactly, Matt. From a certain point of view.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view, these are the good guys.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know of anybody that would live in an area that is not, I don't want to say full of corruption, but I think there's always that corruption element in any level of government. I think it's just goes without saying it is there.
Yeah. It's
Oh yeah.
who's got who in the pocket.
Yep. Yep, Eric, that's how Las Vegas was built, right? It's exactly how Vegas was built.
Well, you don't want 3 hour movies, or I'd say Bugsy could go on a list, but that's a 3 hour
Hmm.
movie.
I've got. I don't think my husband would mind if I shared this story, but my husband used to sell pool table felt
Interesting.
in the Vegas area, and let's just say that he was approached with an offer he couldn't refuse,
Hmm.
and he sold his business like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, but this was back in the heyday when the element was there in Vegas.
Hmm.
Um, But that's what you did.
The Friends of Frank Sinatra.
Hmm. Yeah, met him middle of the night
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Hey, we want to buy your business. Take it, take it." And
Mm-hmm.
he handed them his keys.
It's like, what's in that briefcase? You don't care
Hmm.
what's in that briefcase. You're going to
Nope.
take the
Here's
briefcase,
the
and
briefcase.
you're going
Give
to
me
and
your keys.
you're going to sign these
Done.
and you're going to sign these papers,
Yep.
or something like that. I wasn't there.
Exactly. Exactly. But I mean, these guys were very agreeable.
Hmm.
Great. But who knows what would have happened if you say no?
Yeah, I'm sure he enjoys walking still. So
Uh
that's.
huh. Yeah, he did for a very long time.
Hmm. A lot of voiceover in this movie, leading into scenes. Come to
But
think of
now we have the. All right, we're going into the beginning of the trial. Don't we've seen lawyers like that in the news that make an appearance, make sure the news is at their disposal,
it. Hmm.
and that's how they get their name out there, and they have this larger than life appeal. It doesn't make them bad lawyers, it just makes them uh
Media savvy.
yeah.
Well, this is right around the O.J. Simpson trial too. So
Yeah, OJ was
90,
the Bronco chase was
94,
94. Yeah, and his trial was, I
five,
remember watching that.
5 and 6,
The
5 and
trial was
6.
95.
Yeah,
Yep.
don't think the verdict was until 96, though, wasn't it? I forget.
The trial went on for a very long time.
Yeah.
95. I think the whole thing was in 95.
Hmm.
Yep. James Hellier mentioned Scarface again. That's a good movie. I'll put that on the list. I haven't watched that movie in a while.
The Pacino version. Yeah.
Yep, the Pacino version. So I find it interesting in a lot of these movies. Of course, you have to condense the versions. So it makes it look like a week after Aaron was arrested that he went to trial.
Yeah.
But the preparation takes months and months, and the discovery takes so long.
Yeah. At least with the Law and Order TV show, they gave you calendar dates of trial court whatever this day.
Oh, that's even more comical watching a courtroom drama on TV where they
Hmm.
have the crime, the arrest, the trial all in an hour.
Yeah. And I'm wondering at Maura Tierney's position because she's sitting at the desk with Marty, which makes me think she's part of the bar, so maybe she's just a junior lawyer with him, unless paralegals are allowed to cross the bar in Illinois, anyway.
Uh, I think, that's a good question. Can you have a non-lawyer
Sitting at the desk, I don't know.
sitting at the table?
Yeah, you probably should be able to. Just part of my
I
brain's
think you
that
can have anybody sitting there.
Well, hopefully you don't let anyone sit there. Otherwise, hopefully they have a reason to be there.
Okay, so for courtroom etiquette, in court, the courtroom rules often dictate who can sit at the counsel table.
Mm.
Usually only the lawyer and their staff, like a paralegal, are allowed to sit. So it
Okay,
would
that makes sense.
probably vary from state to state
Yeah.
based on their rules.
So I'm just seeing the investigator Andre Brower sitting in the gallery. So actually, no, he's just in a chair behind the table. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. No. So yeah, the legal team is. Yeah. Okay. Those are very particular glasses on that detective's face. Never noticed they were rather red.
They're rather red.
Yeah.
Yeah, and reading glasses. Yeah, I should have my reading glasses like at the tip of my nose like that.
Oh God. Mad Matt's got my brain going to Night Court now. The original Night Court, not the
The
sequel.
original Night Court. Oh, the original was the best.
Yeah. The new one's supposed to be good, but Richard Gere's like Steve Martin. His hair went gray early and just went with it.
Yeah, Steve Martin went gray when he was in his 30s, I think.
Yeah, he's had white hair forever.
So I find this courtroom drama very interesting. This is usually how a case goes. Um, but they want you to question whether he really did it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially the audience were watching this movie. Did he do it? Did he not do it? When we look at the evidence presented, it's certainly going to leave you questioning at this point what's going on.
Mm-hmm. And I can imagine this conversation happening, just maybe not in an open hallway.
Not in an open, right? Exactly. You go back to the office and you conduct
You
this.
you not so quietly rip your staff a new one.
That's right. Especially when you're talking about stuff that is probably bordering on attorney-client privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a question for the audience. Of all of Richard Gere's movies, is first of all, is if you're a big fan of Richard Gere, what would be your favorite movie of his? Either before this movie or after, because I know he's been in a lot of stuff.
I'd have to think on that one.
You know, Officer and a Gentleman's, Pretty Woman, Mothman Prophecies,
Arbitrage was interesting.
off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Oh, so James Hellier says American Gigolo. Boy, that was at the beginning of his career, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Your doggy wants your attention.
Sorry, she does that a lot.
That's okay.
All right, let me shut this door. All right, let's see if that'll get her.
To shush.
Shush.
Well, this is the scene I'm thinking of. Seeing my head hurts.
Yeah, this is a good scene. It's one of those aha moments.
That's a good, pardon me, oh shit look on her face.
Yep. But this is really what got the audiences really cued into Edward Norton as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Is that moment he just made it just striking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mad Matt, this is most likely my first time watching a Richard Gere movie.
Interesting.
Yep. And I was just going into a googly search of,
Well, Richard Gere has done, to be honest, a lot of well-known romantic comedies.
yep.
If
But I
that is
know
not
he,
your cup of tea, that's fair enough. So,
exactly. He was kind of poo-pooed as just nothing but a pretty boy early in his career.
yeah,
Um,
Pretty Woman didn't help, and then Runaway Bride didn't help, and a few other things didn't help. But no, he was great in Red Corner. A few other things that come to mind.
and he's still very active.
Mm-hmm.
Um, oh gosh.
Yes, Internal Affairs, James Hellier. That's another one I was thinking of.
Mm.
And
And that was from the
another
90s. Yep.
'90s, and then another fun one from the '90s was it The Jackal with
Hmm.
him and Bruce Willis and Sidney Poitier and Jack Black in one of his finest roles because he's just there to die.
Jack Black was in it for maybe two scenes.
Yeah,
Um, okay, if anybody out there loves a movie to cry to, Hachi, he was in Hachi.
yeah. If you're like Sharon, being the parent of a dog, or the parent of an animal,
God.
then yeah, Hachi will make you just sit down and cry for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm not a crier, but that got me.
Yeah, a different cry from Old Yeller Cry, but
Yes, exactly. Old Yeller Cry was um like like Hachi was like actual tears.
yeah, and yes, it's a movie based on a true story, but then you read up on what the true story was, and that makes you cry more.
Exactly. So, okay, so they're searching for the other altar boy. So now we have another layer in the investigation. What I find interesting though, obviously to make this movie work, all this drama is building on what happened before.
Mhm.
But in reality, all of this drama would have been played out before it went to
Anything that,
trial.
yeah,
Um,
you're not still investigating the thing actively
exactly, exactly.
before it goes to trial. Like
So,
the cops, if they had brains in their heads, would have been doing all this already, or
mhm.
have done this already.
And if you found this guy during the trial, chances are it wouldn't have been admitted.
No.
Oh, James Heller says The Jackal is a bad movie.
Oh, it's by no means
It,
great, and
I think it got panned by the critics.
yeah, good actors, but oh God, Richard Gere's attempt at an Irish accent is horrible.
It was awful.
Yeah,
I didn't believe it for a second.
it's almost good awful.
And we love good, bad, awful stuff, right?
Yeah,
We love awful stuff here.
yeah. Like it was back. Well, we don't know when Bruce Willis's troubles began, but you know that was around or post. Actually, no, I was right around post Die Hard 3. So before Armageddon, I think, or in that weird mid to late '90s window.
Hmm.
That's all. It's a blur,
Hmm.
but
Yep, Armageddon was late 90s.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Now Bruce Willis's bad Canadian accent was better than Richard Gere's bad Irish accent.
Yeah, he would have been better. Well, I mean, but his character in that movie was Irish, so
Yeah,
he had to pull off the accent. It would have been better had they had an actor with a natural Irish
Irish
accent.
accent. Yeah. Well, I will say Richard Gere's Irish accent was better than Brad Pitt's Irish accent. And
What movie?
that was Devil's Own with Harrison Ford.
Ooh, hadn't seen that one. Mm,
Interesting
I'll
story.
put it down on the list.
Bad accent.
Okay. Maybe I'll put it on my to watch list and not the watch party list.
It's a watch it first before you want to subject everyone else to it.
Okay.
Is the best way I can put it. It was I don't know. Harrison Ford's never bad, but sometimes it feels like there was a period where he was maybe phoning it in. And
Okay, so The Devil's Own was 97.
yeah. Oh yeah, Jeff Bridges and Blown Away. We won't even mention that accent.
Oh, and that was a
Tommy
fairly
Lee
good movie.
Jones and Blown Away. That was a
But
bad accent.
yeah. I loved the concept of Blown Away.
Yes,
And if they
concept
had
great.
done it a little differently, it would have been a fantastic movie.
Hmm. Like they could probably do well. It's already been done, but I was going to say if they were to do something like Blown Away now with actual older Irish actors or actual Bostonian actors, it could work.
Could work. Okay, he's going back into the crime scene,
Hmm.
and they just let him go in
Yeah, and he's going to do something here.
unaccompanied by
That
himself.
He's going to do something here in like 2 seconds that I don't know about you, but I remember it being impossible.
And highly unethical, illegal.
Yeah, watch.
But it was
No
kind of,
VHS label ever peeled that easily, ever.
unfortunately, yeah, I would have some that did.
You did?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, but that was because the labels were old.
Okay. If the glue had disappeared,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I used to do everything on VHS and they would be basically super glue.
yeah. Like I've got a tape circa 1987 on the floor over there. That label's still not coming off.
I'm surprised. And it
Yeah.
hasn't, how's the quality of the tape?
It's not bad actually.
Okay.
My VCR. I have to do my quarterly test of my VCR to make sure it's still working. So I'm going to throw in Superman 1 off of TV back in the 80s, and picture quality's starting to go, but your eyes get used to it.
Yeah. That used to be the standard back in the day. Okay. So this was found in the Archbishop's collection.
Yeah. And as he says, there's motive.
There's the motive. Too bad they didn't find it before the trial started.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that under normal circumstances it wouldn't be allowed in trial, but usually it's not.
Mm-hmm. And there's the doctor saying there's something we need to talk about.
Yep. You should keep the tape rolling.
Well, he doesn't want to
Oh,
turn his client privilege on tape.
that's true. You can't. So it makes you feel doubly bad for him because now you see
There is abuse.
what he was subjected to.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, he's in the mid '90s wide tie era too. As I'm looking at his tie,
So this movie with this subject, this occurred before the how do I say that? Before the Catholic Church was really exposed, right? I think that the Catholic Church was
Mm,
exposed into this behavior in the early 2000s, I think.
something like that. When they started having to be very accountable for it.
Right, and they were held accountable.
Hmm.
So back when this movie came out, this was not something considered like mainstream that the church would do.
Hmm. This is interesting what Ed Norton's doing as an actor. There, just jumping between the
This,
two.
oh, he's just killing it in this scene.
Hmm. And I like Richard Gere's reaction, just leaning back. Who the hell are you?
And you could tell he's now scared.
Hmm.
What the hell is going on with my client?
Hmm. That's another good oh no look. And he's trying to figure out what's going on.
James Hellier mentions the defense could introduce it probably too late for the prosecution. Yes, the
Hmm.
prosecution couldn't, but then they would be legally obligated, wouldn't they, to then present it to the defense because you can't
Yeah,
hide discovery.
yeah.
Oh, so that's pretty scary. He's no longer the shy little kid sitting in that chair.
Hmm. I think around now, from when I remember first watching this, the Ed Norton character was more frightening than Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. Just because Hopkins was just nuts, calm nuts, but nuts. But this was different.
His Ed's his character here
Yeah,
as not Aaron
yeah,
would be scary
yeah,
because it would be unpredictable. We
yeah,
don't know what he's capable of.
yeah.
But yeah, Hopkins' character in Silence of the Lambs was very, it's that psych, psychopathic,
Hmm.
reserved. Obviously, you don't turn your back on him because he'll eat you.
Yeah.
But that's you expect that. That's what you expect.
Hmm. And he turns
James
off.
Hellier, what?
And now he turns off.
And now it's over. So James Hellier mentioned Roy addresses Gere as Marty. If he was real, he wouldn't know Vale's name. He's the product of a fugue state.
But didn't they introduce themselves in this scene? I think yes, you're right. But didn't they introduce each other? Didn't they say
Um,
hi to each other?
but would Roy know Marty's name? It is possible, right? In a in a total psychotic schizophrenic break with, well, not schizophrenic, multiple personalities, it usually happens under extreme stress, where then the new identity is the protector
A
of
lot
the
of the time,
person,
yeah.
of your identity that can't protect himself. So that's an interesting discussion.
Hmm.
But yeah, okay. So James clarifies Norton was Aaron when he was introduced to Vale.
Yeah.
So
But
would,
when Roy came out, did they? That's why I'd have to rewatch this to see.
exactly, we would have to go back on that scene. But would the protective identity know from Aaron's memories? So Aaron might not be aware of Roy, but Roy would be aware of Aaron's identity because Roy came out to protect Aaron. So in that sense, would Roy then
Know what Aaron
know
knows? I don't know.
Marty's name?
That's a psychiatric question that I'm not
That is
qualified to answer.
a very deep question.
Yeah.
And since I don't have a psychology degree,
Yeah.
it, yeah. But this, he makes a very three-dimensional character now. As Aaron, this sympathetic character who was abused, now he has Roy to protect him. Yeah, so James mentions Roy had never met Vale,
Yeah.
but by the sheer existence of Roy, knowing Aaron, would he still know Marty's name?
I don't know.
This is one of the aspects of the psychological movie that makes it so appealing, is all the different layers, all the different ways we can analyze it and discuss it, bring it into some real world scenarios, and then you throw it right back into this fantasy world of how they resolve it.
Hmm. So his decision, Martin Vale's way of dealing with this, is going to have a drink.
And see if he's going to finish the interview.
Yeah. He's clearly been drinking a while.
So old Johnny Devick, so are we talking about Fight Club now? Oh boy, we could go down a rabbit hole with Fight Club.
Yeah. Raising Cain as well. James
Raising
is right.
Cane's another good one.
That's a fair
Well,
thing
that
for a
pretty much,
defense lawyer to say. Have you been saving up for a rainy day? It's raining.
yeah, that's pretty much what any lawyer asks. This
Mm-hmm.
is my fee, sign it.
Mm-hmm. This is my fee. There's rules and regs for my billing.
That's
Sign the
right.
papers.
If you don't pay me, I'm going to take your house.
Yeah. And we bill in 10-minute increments.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, it's 6-minute increments. So you can. Oh, how did the billing work out? It's increments of 6 or 10, so that you're divvying up tenths of an hour or something like that.
Right. It has to be even.
Yeah.
A psychiatrist will charge you 50 minutes for an hour.
Well, they'll charge you for an hour, but only see you for 50 minutes.
It's only 50. Yeah.
Well, they'll see you in person for 50. The other 10 is post paperwork or something. Admin stuff, probably.
Paperwork.
Hmm. Yep. false billing. That's right, James. That anyone that ever goes into an accounting, certain levels of accounting courses, the here's how you do it properly. Here's how you be a criminal. Don't do the second thing.
First rule of talking to the press:
Don't.
don't don't admit that you did something,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's off the record.
Mm-hmm. And he's a good enough lawyer, even if he's been drinking this long, to know not to do that. So
Oh, old Johnny Devitt mentions they'll make your wallet shrink.
yes, they
They'll
will.
they'll take everything. But so the other side of it is, I get it. I get why the fees are high. Um, do I agree with it? Well, if I was a lawyer, I'd probably charge according to um, my effort, my expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's all relative.
Well, yeah, if you poll 10 law firms in your area, depending on where you live, and say, what's your rate for a will and powers of attorney, they'll each give you a different number.
Yeah, exactly.
And a will is a relatively basic, depending on the complexity, a will can be a relatively basic document to do. So if one guy's charging you 500 and one guy's charging you 1,500, there's a big discrepancy there.
Well, then you'd have to ask why.
Well, yes,
Yep.
I should hope you're asking your lawyer why you're charging me this much money.
Yep. Well, the same way you'd ask your doctor, right? Doctors charge a lot of money. Um,
Depends where you live, but yes.
yeah, and it depends. Yeah, your health insurance and all of
Yeah.
that. It just all costs money, doesn't it? Okay, so he's trying to make his team believe that this kid is
Ill.
multi has
Yeah.
this disorder,
Mm-hmm.
multiple personality disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't think they're buying it.
No, well, Andre Brower's definitely not. Now he's doing something that we don't do it. We get them to do it. I know what the other lawyer's going to do if they see this.
Get the other side to do it for you.
Yep. See that a number of times in various legal things, legal movies.
Yeah. Huh. So this just showed up at my door.
Yeah. Unmarked
Very interesting.
envelope.
Huh.
Right.
Well, if you noticed, the TV on her TV stand was one of those old cathode ray tubes TVs
Well,
that we all.
it was 96. Everyone had those.
Yep, exactly. We didn't switch over to the flat screens until
15 odd years ago.
early 2000s,
Early
I think.
2000s, I want to say. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I got a flat screen LCD until 2010 ish, I think.
Seems like a long time ago, but that really wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so they're playing this game again. I
Hmm.
know you gave that tape to me. No, I didn't. What do you mean? Yes, you did.
Yeah. It's like the judge
But
wouldn't let you do this. The judge wouldn't let you do that. And it's like,
yeah, but the real question is that the judge would ask, "Where did you get the tape?"
yep.
Oh, James Hellier mentioned I remember having a widescreen CRT in the early 2000s. Holy cow. That must have weighed about 500 pounds.
Yeah. You need a truck and a load lifter wheelie cart to move that thing around.
Yep. And there was no such thing with those cathode rays. You couldn't hang them on the wall. No such thing as a wall mount TV.
Nope. You hope you have a corner that it'll fit in.
Yep. That big. Yep.
The only benefit of those, though, compared to the new TVs, is the speakers were in the front. The speakers were not pointing down to the floor
That's true. Or pointing out to the sides.
or out to the sides or up to the
Yep.
ceiling. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Eric, you can't see my TV, but it's circa 2012, little 32-incher in the office here. And that's for the room it's in, it's fine. But
Circa 2012, that would be the flat screen, wouldn't it?
yeah. Yeah. Sony something or other, Bravia, something other was their flat screen. Yeah, even the mid-sized Sony Trinitrons, Eric, they were beasts. Give yourself a hernia trying to move it by yourself.
But some of those older TVs will last a lifetime.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, James Hellier mentioned that. Yep.
they'll still go. They'll keep
Yep.
going
And
and going and going like the bunny
if
used to
you
do.
find a used one, I bet it still work.
Yeah.
Oh, old Johnny Devick comments, smoking in a film, how dare they? Um, yeah, way back when. Way back when. But obviously that's a fake cigarette because anybody who has smoked would know when she blows out the smoke, it's not thick like a real cigarette.
One of those herbal ones or whatever they use as pretend
Right.
ones. And here's the DA saying where to come from.
Yep.
He's like, yep, I know it came from him.
Well, see, she can introduce it and have the judge rule on it, but I'm sure the judge would say no,
Mm-hmm.
unless unless the defense says sure, we don't object.
Well, yeah, if it were the prosecution introducing evidence mid-trial without disclosure of it, then yeah, the defense attorney would say, "What the hell is this? You can't." No,
Right.
but for
See,
what he did, he wants it in. He just doesn't want to
but
be the
this
one
is
to
a
admit it.
clever move. They can introduce it and
Hmm.
have the judge rule on it, but then the defense will say, "Yeah, we stipulate that's good for our case."
Hmm.
This is, I think, the third or fourth cigarette she's lit in this movie, and she never gets past one or two puffs.
Hmm. I forgot Terry O'Quinn was just sitting in the gallery this entire movie. He's in it more than I thought.
Who?
Terry O'Quinn. He's sitting
Oh, Terry
behind.
O'Quinn.
He's sitting behind her in the gallery.
Okay, from a defense standpoint, you wouldn't want your client to testify.
Wouldn't want your staff to testify. Yeah.
You wouldn't want anybody to testify.
Yeah. And him saying allegedly loops back to their chat earlier saying you need to learn how what allegedly actually means and when you
Yep.
can actually use it, and he uses it wrong.
Yep. Does anybody else remember back in the days when the rental home video rental market first came out? Everything was on VHS,
Mm-hmm.
and to get the best quality, you would want to be one of the first people to rent the VHS tape because after a couple months, when you watched it, you could tell it's been beaten to hell and back.
Yeah, it's been through everyone's VCR, and
Yep. And Be Kind Rewind was all the
it's,
craze.
yeah, and you always wanted to go. It's same when movies were still on film. You go opening week or so, because I guarantee the opening weekend of Titanic and the last weekend of Titanic, very different print.
Oh, yeah.
One's beat to hell and one's not.
Yep.
And yeah, you never know how many sandwiches went into somebody's VCR before they played that tape. So
No doubt.
that sounds about right, James Elliott.
I was just reading that too. Alan Dershowitz said OJ got off the criminal trial because he stopped him testifying, but lost the civil trial because those lawyers let him testify. Yeah,
Yeah.
but he couldn't get out of testifying in the civil trial.
No, I don't think he could. No.
Yeah, so that's the big difference. And anybody who remembers watching the criminal trial on TV um, knows how flawed it was. I guess that's a good way of saying it. Whether you believe he's guilty or innocent, the trial was
A dog and pony show.
a circus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That what was the People v. O.J. Simpson, that TV series they did, like 10 odd episodes, it was
I
actually
haven't
really
seen
good. Yeah. Cuba Gooding Jr. plays O.J. Um,
it. David Swimmer played
Mr.
Kardashian.
Kardashian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I can see their faces, but I can't remember their names.
Yeah, I that would have been interesting to see. I might go back and revisit it, but I remember watching the trial on TV. I was trying to watch it every day. It was definitely it was something to watch. But I think back then we never really saw courtroom dramas play out in real time on TV. We
Nope.
never got to see that.
And here's some sad return of his former client or his
Yep.
other client.
Mm.
Surprised they found him in the Chicago River. Or the Ohio. What river runs through Chicago? The Ohio River? No. Well, the river in
You know what they
Chicago.
say? You end up swimming with the fishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what river does go through Chicago? The Chicago River, I guess.
Okay. Thought it was called something else because of where maybe it started somewhere else.
It's a system of rivers and canals with a combined length of 156 miles that runs through the city of Chicago. There you go.
Interesting.
James Hellier, not the Potomac. No, I think the Potomac runs through D.C.
Yeah, the Potomac's in Washington. Yeah. And this bit's just entirely personal for Richard Gere right now. He's laying groundwork for reasonable doubt,
Reasonable Doubt. Yep.
but he's going after him for an entirely different reason.
That's how you defend your client, though.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is put reasonable doubt in the minds of one juror, and your client walks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Cowbot says that they diet green on St. Patty's Day. Yeah, the river in Chicago. And I guess they have a parade.
Yeah, we see that parade in The Fugitive.
Mhm. And probably not surprising to many out there, but as a former law enforcement officer, we were always on the lookout for the drunks, mostly on St. Patty's Day, believe it or not, even above New Year's. Any other holiday, St. Patty's Day was the day.
Mm-hmm. Shaughnessy was a state's attorney, not the DA. Okay.
Oh, so he's a state attorney in this
Uh,
movie?
I think that's what he just said. Or
Okay.
was formerly a state's attorney. Oh, he's looking back to something older in his career,
Okay.
and the judge has a look in her eye like, "Where is he going with this?"
Yeah, he better stay on point.
Well, unless he goes way off course, and if the
Right.
DA doesn't object, then the judge just has to sit there.
Yeah, you don't want to get too far off point though.
No.
But really, this is all kind of wrapped up
Mm-hmm.
as being relevant to his client.
Yeah. The dealings of the victim. So.
Well, first of all, in real life, someone with this much power would never basically be put on the stand and have these fingers pointed at him and appeared guilty. He just appeared guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the stuff the judge here I don't quite get. Judge is going to do what judge is going to do, but still.
Right. Uh, yeah, they should be impartial, and he shouldn't be in judges' chambers without the other counsel there.
Yeah. That's
But
ex parte. You're not allowed to do that.
exactly. So she should appear impartial and she should make all of her decisions impartially, but it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like she's not that impartial. But that adds to the drama.
Mm-hmm. Now he's realizing Roy is on tape.
So, up until this point, if anybody was on the jury, what would you do? Would you convict or acquit?
They haven't given me enough information to make that decision, so they haven't proven he's guilty yet. So
Well, haven't they proved up until this point that he was the one? Or they're still trying to introduce that there was someone else in the room that did it.
that's but he's trying. That's what he's laying his hat on. But
Yeah.
even the look on Ed Norton's face there when she's saying there's two people, he's just gonna look like, what's she saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. They didn't introduce um, insanity as a defense, so you can't go off on that tangent.
Yeah. And that's where when the well, we didn't see what the actual plea was other than taking the fifth on it, but the judge just plowed ahead
Yep.
when he originally initially said, I need time to do a full psychiatric evaluation before I can give you an appropriate plea. The judge wouldn't let him do that.
But it's pretty standard practice these days.
It should be, yeah.
Mhm.
Can't tell if her suit is orange or red or what.
I think it's more red,
Okay.
like a velvet red.
Okay. Yeah. That's just might be my TV if it's not coming off as very red.
Yeah, it could be.
Actually, I think I've got some weird thing going on with my display right now. So let me just pull up options.
And you're watching it on a CRT, right?
No, it's a flat screen, but
Ah,
it was stuck in some weird custom version, custom thing. So the yeah, it's more red and vivid compared to whatever I had on custom. So mess with the brightness and stuff in the custom there. So
yeah.
oh
Well,
yeah, yes, my TV does need calibrating, James.
yeah. Yeah, this case is getting very interesting.
Hmm.
If you're coming in not having seen this movie before and just going with what the evidence has been presented so far, um, it would it would be hard to convict. Well, it would be easy to convict because the only thing you know is he was the only one in the room.
Yeah.
Boy, it's like he can't catch a break with his client.
Nope.
But again, you should have, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah. What would be interesting would be a 12 Angry Men of this case.
Mm. And like a modern version of 12 Angry Men
Using this case
using this case.
could be interesting.
Yep.
And he did something potentially very stupid, put his client on the stand.
Put the client on the stand.
Well, sometimes that's the only defense you got is your client. So
Yeah. However, 99.9% of the time, it's never a good idea.
no.
But for this drama, this makes the movie.
Yes, as a drama, this works.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And Aaron's like, huh, what?
Mm-hmm. What the
And the,
heck
and the,
was
and the, ju-
that?
and the judge is like, huh, what?
What? The prosecution should be
Check.
objecting.
Yeah. Bringing
The
up this
second
other
you
person. Yeah.
mention
The name
Roy's
of the other
name,
guy. Yep.
object.
Hmm.
Oh boy, this is getting good.
Yeah. And she starts nice, but then she just goes
Mhm.
after him.
Well, that is what a good prosecutor would do when you put the defendant on. You have to go after him.
Yep.
Laura Linney is a severely underrated actress.
Yep.
She is, in my opinion, anytime she's on screen, she is captivating and uh, what's another good word? Believable. And
Hmm.
she just really connects with the character and brings the character to life.
I haven't pulled up her IMDb, but she's done a lot.
She has done a lot. And I'm currently watching her in the series she was in, The C Word, as a
The C word,
cancer
big C.
patient.
Yeah, the cancer patient one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
as a
good.
cancer patient.
think it's the big C.
The
C
big
word.
C.
Yeah,
Yes.
C word has other connotations that we don't
It's-
use in polite company.
Okay. That's true. Yes. Yes.
We know that word. We don't say it in
We
public.
don't say that. That's not the word that I meant.
No.
The big C is cancer.
Yeah.
That's the word.
That's also an unpleasant word.
It is. Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, my husband had cancer, and I saw him through that until the end.
Mhm.
Not pleasant, but it's a fact of life. It
Yeah.
happens. I tell you what, I wouldn't want her coming at me in a court.
No. And where's the change? If you look at Ed Norton right there.
Just wait, here he comes. We're going to see Roy here.
Even Andre Brower's a little shocked. It's like, holy crap, they were right.
Yep. Yeah, they should be scared.
Mm-hmm.
So, just saying, in real life, if this happened,
He'd have been on the
probably
ground.
automatic mistrial.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, there's no way to now unsee what happened, and there was no insanity defense.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that was intense.
Yeah.
Okay, this is her
And
fourth cigarette.
fourth or fifth cigarette, I
Fourth.
think.
Yep.
And the judge, this is her fourth or fifth drink.
Yep. They're playing loosey goosey.
Mm-hmm. At least she's pouring them drinks.
Yeah. Yes, Eric, that's some great acting by Norton. I was just riveting.
And Marty doesn't want his, so she has a double.
Yep. Well, I guess that's completely legal for a judge to do it in their chambers,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yep. And there's the DA being up front saying, we don't want to try this again.
Yep. Well, you know what? With Marty, now it's all over the front page of the newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be in everybody's TV.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going to know about it.
I don't know about the he'll be out in a month part.
Yeah, pending a psychiatric evaluation and the outcome.
Yeah.
But I think the judge can see the writing on the wall that this kid is not okay and he'll be out.
Yeah.
But the law since then this law has changed where even if you are convicted,
You go to
but
a hospital.
reason of insanity, you still have to serve the time.
You still serve
Sometimes,
time, but it's usually in a hospitalized setting.
yeah, you're still getting help at least.
Yeah. I think they go into that on the special features on my Blu-ray disc here, where
Okay.
they talk about using insanity as a defense, and does it work? Does it not work? When is it
Right.
what happens after a little bit? They talk about that. For the 20-30 minute featurette they do on your average home video release.
That is a heavy topic, and the judicial system has kept up with not just seeking justice, but treating the person that's mentally ill.
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be a balance. I mentioned that before. There is a balance that they're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Aaron/Roy Most likely will be out in 30 days.
Mm-hmm. Well, how does she know she's lost her job yet?
I think because the DA said, did he mention it to her that if you lose, you're going to, because it's a high profile case, you're going to lose your job? Oh, see, he's still
He's
just
still
coming on.
handsy. He's still handsy.
He is so cocky. He's the
Yeah.
cockiest lawyer.
Well, we
But
don't know
that's
how
part of
how
it.
long ago their relationship was. We don't know what type of exactly how deep of a relationship it was.
Right.
He's acting like it was more than an office fling.
Right. And right here, she's acting like it might have been a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Eric says, yeah, they told her start looking for a job just because it's so high profile. That's too bad because she did the best she could.
Mm-hmm. Just thinking of the cinematography of this entire movie, it just looks like a mid '90s movie too.
But I think this holds up. You
It
could
does.
this could be a real life, ripped from the headlines.
Mm-hmm. And here's Ed Norton
Here's
showing why he was nominated for an Oscar.
and he won many awards for this performance, but
He
he
won the
didn't
Golden Globe.
get
He
the
didn't win the
Oscar.
Oscar. Yeah.
Nope, didn't get it.
Well, I'd have to look and see who he was up against for the Oscar, but there's probably a reason he lost.
Yeah, probably.
Then again, he also lost for American History X, and he probably should have won for that.
Oh, yep. Good news for Aaron. You'll be
Mm-hmm.
out in a month. This flew by. It's a two
Yep.
hour movie and it just flew by.
Yeah.
Oh, he's feeling cocky.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I got him off.
Yeah.
Look at me. Look at me. My adoring fans await.
When I see again, that's up to the courts. Actually, no, he's your client. You can see whenever you want.
Yep. Oh, he'll get it in about 5 seconds. He'll get
He's,
it.
he's gonna pause
He's,
for a second.
yep.
How do you know about her neck? Nice.
Oh, Calbot says Ed Norton lost the supporting actor Oscar to Cuba Gooding Jr. in Jerry Maguire.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay,
Yeah.
tough choice.
And
The
there's
last The last 5 minutes here, this is
Yeah.
what elevated this movie from a good movie to a great movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter who you hear it from.
Mm-hmm. And attorney-client privilege still
Mhm.
stands.
But the next bit he says is what not about killing Linda, but the he says something in a moment that'll either make you really not like him.
Yeah, this part
Yeah.
is just brilliant.
I did get caught, didn't I?
So, would
Yes.
any other actor besides Ed Norton have been able to pull this off?
Yeah. But
Perhaps.
his line here, there never was an Aaron.
There was no Aaron.
It's like then you're like, oh,
Crap.
he wasn't
We've
just pretending.
all.
He was like, oh, because you
Mm-hmm.
like Aaron, you want to like Aaron.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, that was the act.
Nobody would have let Roy off. Roy would have been prosecuted.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Roy
really?
would have been.
Yep. Look at Gear's face.
Yeah.
He has
That's a freshly punched look.
absolute defeated
Yeah.
in so many ways.
Yeah. And in a moment when he exits the courtroom, he's gonna pause.
And the way that they did that upside down shot as he
Yeah.
was leaving that door, that was amazing. Amazing cinematography to do that.
Yeah. And he looks out at the reporters waiting to talk to him,
And his
and he
adoring fan.
doesn't go. He instead walks out the back door because he's still stunned. And I actually really like this ending.
That's really how the character should have ended.
Hmm.
I mean, defeated on so many levels.
Yeah, he won his case, but
But he lost. He
it's
lost big
just
time.
yeah,
Well, there you have it.
1996's Primal Fear.
Good movie. Very
Very
good
good
movie.
movie.
Ah, boy. All right, let's let our brains whew,
Decompress for a
come
minute.
down from that.
Yeah.
So, what did you all think? Sounds like I think you all have seen this before, right? Or if this was your first
No, it was
time.
new to a bunch of people.
Okay, so anybody that hasn't seen it before, what did you think of that plot twist? And did you have any clues before the big reveal? Because that's what sold us as an audience when we saw it for the first time.
Hmm.
Obviously, before the internet, before anybody could spoil it, you
Hmm.
really want to be fresh into these type of movies. And wow. All right.
First watch
What a
for Eric.
ride.
Yeah. Long time for old Johnny Devick.
Okay. Johnny Devick says, I think I prefer Cape Fear, but it's a competent work of courtroom drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Eric, first time watching. Oh, yes, Calbot. Yeah, pretty good episode of Law and Order with a twist.
Yep.
Exactly. Like an extended episode.
Hmm.
Um, Whew, all right, as the last of the comments come in, I want to introduce you guys to next week's movie, and kind of give you the heads up that if you haven't already heard, David Lynch passed away about 4 days ago. And as a way of honoring him and his filmmaking legacy, we're going to be watching Eraserhead next week. His 1970, is it 5 or 7? Yep, 1977.
77.
His first, yeah, Blue Velvet, also a good one. But I thought, and so Alex and I were kind of going back and forth, and I thought, to honor his legacy, it is a weird one, but it
Very weird.
really, so it might not be for everyone. I hope you guys will join. It is a weird one, but it really does introduce us to David Lynch at the beginning of his
Mhm.
career. It is freely available. Alex, where did you find it?
I dropped a link in the chat. I can remove it if it's a
Okay.
no-no.
Nope.
The archive.org, our friends at the Wayback Machine, someone has a streaming copy. It's actually a good quality.
Yep. And it is available on a lot of other services if you can't get it at Archive. Um,
Amazon, Criterion has it.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It is a very widely acclaimed movie of his. So it should be available in
Mhm.
other countries and other in your streaming format, unless you have it on Blu-ray or DVD.
Yeah.
So
Check your local library. They may have a copy.
they may have a copy. So if not, yeah, check out the link. And yeah, so Alex, any parting words today?
No, this has been fun. Hopefully, I didn't bore you all to death. I'll be happy to co-host again next week with Eraserhead. It'll be my second viewing of Eraserhead.
Perfect.
It's like I think Calbot said, it's one I've been meaning to watch but never really got to.
Yep.
I kind of went hodgepodge with his career from Blue Velvet, Straight Story, Mulholland Drive. Uh, those were quasi weird enough for me, and then Eraserhead. I like we were chatting before the stream. I said, "What the heck did I just watch?" But it's a
Yeah.
fun. What the heck did I just watch? So
Yeah. So we're probably all familiar with Lynch's later works.
mhm.
So this is
Twin
kind of
Peaks.
a departure, but you'll kind of see how he started, why he started doing what he did. Mulholland Drive is also toward the top of my list of his movies. It just was a little bit long. I think it's a 2.5 hour movie.
Easily, yeah,
So I wanted to just kind of keep this 2 hours, but Eraserhead is well within that.
yeah.
So
Eraserhead's like 90-ish, something like that. 90 or
exactly,
100. 90 or 100. Yeah.
it's a good one.
Hmm.
So alrighty, and so I'm always working on this the live stream, and there was a comment in, I think, in Discord or on YouTube about having that timer up in the right hand corner. So if anybody has to pause their movie has and they want to come back, they can see where the movie is. I am still working on that, and I'm working on updating some of the features that we're used to. So just stay tuned as I'm working my way through this. So, alrighty. Thank you again, Alex. Thank you
My
all
pleasure.
for joining us. And yeah, we'll see Alex again next week. And yeah, all right, guys.
And then co-host to be determined.
Exactly. And I'll be reaching out to some people, maybe having someone come back, and we'll go from there. So, all righty. Thanks again, Alex. Thanks to all for joining, and we'll see you all next
See you
time.
all next time.
Bye.
Bye.